Hello everyone and welcome to yet another episode of the MyTech Story Africa podcast. I just looked at my YouTube analytics and it seems that 42.6% of you are still not yet subscribed to the channel, yet you are watching and enjoying the content. It's important to us that you subscribe, follow from wherever you're listening from, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, or any of the major listening platforms, because this helps us get the word out there about the podcast, but not only the podcast, but also about the amazing things that are happening across the African continent with the amazing stories that we share on this podcast. So if you're not yet subscribed, please make sure that you do so that we can keep growing this MTS community. Now diving into the episode, today we have a very special guest. His name is Alfred Wanjau, hailing from Nairobi, Kenya, but is currently residing in Kigali, Rwanda. His story is a true testament of the power of self-belief and resilience. His story is an interesting one because at first he had a dream of becoming a priest as an altar boy, but life took an unexpected turn towards the tech industry.
I was an altar boy as a kid. Growing up for a period of time, I actually wanted to be a priest.
He started off in the world of analytical chemistry in university before he dropped out because his true passion for programming led him to make a bold decision that changed the trajectory of his life. Today, he holds the esteemed position of Chief Technical Officer and Chief Financial Officer at Huuza Quest Limited, a testament to the transformative power of embracing change and seizing opportunities. Alfred's unique background, which includes working long hours at his mother's shop, played a crucial role in shaping his perspective on life. Alfred shares insights from his experience from the Jiri Talent Investor Program, which helped him identify problems and create unique technological solutions. This episode explores Alfred's entrepreneurial venture, Huuza, connecting people with their culture through custom-made games. It highlights the challenges and rewards of entrepreneurship, networking, and aligning decisions with passion and values. In summary, Alfred's story is a powerful narrative of embracing uncertainty, taking control of one's path, and realizing the transformative potential of entrepreneurship. It's a reminder that entrepreneurship, while not for everyone, can be highly rewarding and a fulfilling journey for those who embrace it. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode. Be sure to leave us feedback in the comments below from wherever you're listening from, or you can send us a DM on MyTech Story Africa on all major social media platforms. Make sure that you engage with us there as well. You can also be part of our MTS community by checking out our website at mtsafrica.co. You can learn more about MyTech Story Africa, what our mission is all about, but also be part of the MTS community, which can give you a lot more access into what's happening not only in the company, but also around tech across the African continent. That being said, we can dive straight into the episode. Everyone, welcome to yet another episode of the MyTech Story Africa podcast. My name is Alice Kanjejo, your lovely host, and today we are still in Kigali and we have an amazing guest here with us ready to share their story. But before we get to that, I would like to remind you to please subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Your support means a lot to me. Subscribing, liking, engaging with us helps us get to this podcast to the right audience and to the next phase of wherever this podcast is meant to be. So your support means a lot. Moving on swiftly, today we are in North Ken, Kigali, which is one of the biggest tech hubs across East Africa, arguably across Africa. Is that so?
Yeah.
Have you ever, he has experience living in Nairobi, but okay, maybe before we get to that, I will allow you to introduce yourself. The stories have been already kicking while we were having the discussions before we hit record. So Very excited to have you here and thank you for honoring my invite to join us today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, so maybe you can give us a quick intro before we get into the gist of the story.
Okay, my name is Alfred Wanjau. First of all, I'm a husband.
Hey, sorry.
So trust me, at this point, I love saying it. But
Alfred got married about 2-3 weeks ago, and it is We are making noise everywhere, but we love
Yes.
to see it. We love to see
Yes. As a human being, I think I'm Kenyan, by the way.
Yes.
Working here in Kigali. Recently moved here as well, in the tech space.
Actually, I've met a lot of Kenyans
Yeah.
who have moved to Kigali. Is there a great migration that we need to know about before we?
I mean, we go where the money is.
You go where the money is.
And in technology, I think this place is becoming a hub.
It's becoming a hub.
In technology as well. So
Arguably bigger than Nairobi.
no, Nairobi has it has paced itself. Trust me. I believe it's headed in that direction. Probably, I'd say a couple of years back, but still progressing.
Still somewhere progressing.
Yes.
100%. And that's why I felt I wanted to come record episodes here of people doing great things in the tech industry, because Kigali is a really growing economy, and it's more so even to have this, guys, I will put a bit of B-roll so that you can see the scope of Norskin, but just to have this lovely space and to see all the companies that are building what they're doing here, it's been spectacular. So
Yes.
100% I believe that it's definitely coming up strong.
Yes, it is. It is. And now to go back to who I am is, other than that, I've also been in tech for a while, but I also have a background in analytical chemistry. And
We'll get into that.
we will get into it. Then transitioned into computer science. My interest mostly is mostly on the product end. So the title I currently hold is I'm a chief technology officer, doubling down as a chief financial officer for Huuza Quest Limited. We also talk about the company, and my main aim is to transform how people we connect with each other and how we connect with the environment around us.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for that quick intro. I think, hey, CG chemistry, then now we are moving. That is where we want to get the real juice of the story. But before we get to that, I think I'm going to just ask you the question I ask all my guests as we begin the show. So where does your story begin? What was Alfred's interest when you were younger, and how did you get to chemistry and then moving to whatever it is that you ventured to, which is now the CTO, CFO? I want to know the full scope of the journey from now when you are making the decisions in high school to going to uni and whatnot. Tell us your story.
You said high school. Let me start a couple of years back. So I was an altar boy as a kid.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So growing up for a period of time, I actually wanted to be a priest.
Wow.
Yes.
Hey, priest. At what age is this that you were? Okay, you were an altar boy and...
Yes, at the age of between 6 and 10. I actually wanted to be a priest. And most of my friends at the time made fun of that fact.
Yeah.
But I was very in tune to it at the time. Then I think as soon as my education, now moving to upper primary school, as I used to call it, I think I started becoming more interested in physics, science, and mathematics. I've always excelled in mathematics. That's a particular brag. That's a brag.
That's a brag.
Yes. But then in high school, my interest was very much in engineering. But I think the turn came where I got an A-, which did not allow me to get into engineering at the time.
Oh, wow. What kind of engineering? Computer engineering?
No, electrical. Yeah, electrical engineering.
So you wanted to be an electrical engineer
Yes.
after you. Why did your dream of being an altar boy stop?
I think my interests changed.
Your
My
interests
interests
changed.
changed.
Okay.
Yes, they changed. And with that, everything in regards to that just became more science, because I used to enjoy how the dance with the numbers, I'd call it that way, is the dance with the numbers. Because I remember in high school, I even tried to come up with some formulas as well, mathematical
formulas.
formulas.
Own formulas.
Yeah.
Hey, we are sorry.
Yeah, I used to try and do that. I used to take at the time, I think, algebra, and also when it came to trigonometry, like I used to love playing with tan, cosine. How I feel like it. I still feel it's
Those
a
are
dance.
the things I hated.
Yeah, I still feel it's a dance.
I was more of an English. I did like physics though, but
which I performed terribly in the languages.
You performed terribly in the languages.
I performed
we are polar
terribly
opposites.
in the languages.
Fantastic. Especially Swahili was just a very difficult language to learn in school compared to how we speak it. No, Swahili was a different level. But English, always.
Yes. Yeah. But then now I think the fact that at the time, my grade couldn't get me into engineering, my second choice was analytical chemistry. So I knew regardless of whether I get in or not, I was still going to take a science.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think also at the time, my interest in chemistry was, I loved chemistry in high school. Then, yes, that's when I moved to analytical chemistry. That was in JQuat, 4 years, 2012 to 2016. And then I didn't complete it. 4 years.
So because we need to unpack that.
Yeah.
So because you weren't able to get into electrical engineering, you decided your alternative was the chemistry.
Analytical chemistry, yes.
And then you went through the entire process until 4th year.
Yes, when I did not complete my project.
So you went through your entire university experience, and then the project is when you said no. What is it that really repelled you about that project so much for you to say, this is the one thing I need to finish uni, but I'm not going to get this degree and quit on this?
I think, at one end, I understand. I'd say this, yes, my parents were mad. They were mad about it.
Yes.
But I'll talk about how it was also a blessing in disguise later on. But then after that, I couldn't find the passion in me doing this after, like graduating and then looking for a job in either industrial chemistry, analytical chemistry. I just couldn't find myself there. I understood the processes. I loved the processes, but I didn't just love it. So at the time, I think I was also going through a phase because I also wanted to, I wouldn't say drop out, but take a gap year in my 3rd year at JQuat. But my parents refused. They were like, no, if you're not going to do this, you have to finish.
It's risky.
Yes, it's risky. And you're just sort of throwing your life away. But that's when I got to 4th year and I just couldn't take it anymore. So yeah, just did do the project. My parents actually tried intervening at JQuat. But yeah, it was a done deal.
I think that's very, first of all, audacious, because what you're saying is that you went because of the feeling of not being able to see yourself in this industry, which is something that people rarely ever, have the courage to do. It's that, why don't you want to do this? Like, you're at the last leg, but I just have a feeling this is not meant for me, or a gut feeling that I need to make a shift into my life, even if I'm at the last leg of the race. And I completely, who wouldn't understand your parents being so upset that umemaliza lakini hujamaliza,
Yeah.
So I think that's, and it's not that you want to even take a gap and do it later. It's you're completely decided that you're not going to do this. Most times people, this is the path that I found myself in. So we're going to go along with it. But I do love having that audaciousness to do that, because I also came to Kigali based off a feeling that I couldn't shake off of. I need to do this. Whether I don't know what it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
I don't know if the interviewers will be 100% on board. I didn't get all the confirmations, but I just, I wasn't coming here for the money either, because I've not made any revenue from this season.
Right.
But it's just the feeling that I couldn't move past. So I applaud you.
I think that's good. No, it's good, because some of these steps that we take, we actually do them in fear. Because even at that time, the fact and making that decision that I don't want to complete this degree.
What was going through your mind at that time, actually?
I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. I was working at a movie shop in Juja at the time. So I actually didn't know what the future held for me. And that alone was very scary.
Of course.
But then that is what, in between actually, in 3rd year at JQuat, is when I started taking short classes, which were being offered by an IT student at JQuat. So he used to charge us 2,500 for, I think, a 4-week course at the time to learn introduction to web development. So that's where my interest started getting picked. I've also moved to what I'd say is I've done a couple of things in the industry, but that's when my interest got picked about development. But then at the time, now that's when my programming journey started. And that led me to now after that. And also my parents were, that's the one blessing I have, is my parents were not ready or even at that point where they were going to give up on me.
Wow.
So they insisted I enroll for another degree, something I really, really wanted
to do.
And one of the conditions that was there is there's no giving up on this one. You have to finish it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
But
that's...
Sorry, I just wanted to say that I feel sometimes having the age that you're supposed to decide of what you want to do for the rest of your life is not an ideal age. You know, just after high school, you're supposed to pick a course that is supposed to, you know, be what you want to pursue for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people find it challenging. You know, you end up in a course just because, okay, I was good in math, or I was good in chemistry, so this must be the path. But I'm just happy that, you know, having supportive parents is also a really big part of it. And, because not everybody gets that opportunity. So, yes, you had to pick something that you were going to stick by.
Yes. So I took in between me, I eventually joined USIU, but in between JQuat and USIU, there was a whole, I think 1.5 years, right? But I spent 1 year selling movies at JQuat.
Wow.
Not knowing what
selling
life...
movies like CDs.
Into flash disk, you know, the 30 bob.
Yeah,
so you actually... so we used to have this system. So we were a network of like 3 or 4 movie shops. Okay. So we would trade each other. Like if someone had... the series that aired yesterday. So if you had them downloaded, you would share them between the shops.
Oh my God. What year was this?
2016.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So you would share them with the shops. And yeah, that's how then, you know, I knew if I needed movies for my customers, I would go to that guy. Do you have updates from yesterday? They were dated, and that was a system. So
how did you even get into movie selling? In the process of doing chemistry?
I mean, you had to survive.
You had to survive. You had to be a
hustler.
Yeah,
you had to survive. You had to survive. In that moment, I think having done a little bit of programming, made a couple of fluke websites because they weren't that good. I'm not gonna lie. They were terrible. Looking back, they were terrible.
You have to start from somewhere.
Yes. But then I decided, let me hone in on these skills. I'm actually enjoying programming. I'm actually enjoying the development process. And for me, it was the logic part of it. There's so much logic in programming that's what hooks me. Like if I need to create a product, I need to know the logic behind the user. I need to know the logic behind actually the language itself. You know, the syntax as well. It was one of the beautiful things about programming. So took what is now called Applied Computer Technology, APT at USIU, where actually that was a culture shock at USIU as compared to JQuat.
JQuat versus USIU. You know what they say about USIU. Being a posh school, everybody drives a car, or, you know, you're selling CDs in JQuat. Here, everybody's you guy, my guy. I'm sure it was a culture shock.
Yeah, there. You actually don't sell movies. These guys are streaming, man.
Yeah.
These guys are streaming. You don't need to go open a movie shop. Yeah.
You know, MacBooks.
Guys have Netflix. You actually, this is where I actually encountered the first student who had a Netflix account. To me, that was a shock.
That was a shock too.
I had never seen anyone with a Netflix account who is a student. Back then. But yeah. So yeah, back to my journey. I think this whole process of learning how to code, I think it also didn't pick as much because I think I dropped down in my first year and second year. There's a funny story of how I actually got back to programming and how I had to take, I think, 100 days of coding.
100 days of coding.
100 days of it's a challenge.
It's a challenge
I usually
people...
I usually see on at the time I saw on social media, Instagram, 100 days of coding.
No, people still do it till today.
Yeah.
Coding and design. I do find a couple of people doing that challenge.
Yes, and this is how it started. So I did a project with it was at the end of a semester, so you have to do a project for a particular course, and I had my partner. I coded all night, didn't sleep. I had it was a whole project it was mostly on database. So I coded a project, the back end, front end, did everything. And so when you came to now, because you have to defend your project, I was so tired because it was in the evening. I was so tired. And so my partner is the one who actually presented the project.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So what hurt me now?
So you fell asleep while you were when you're supposed to present, or were you just...
No, I was out of it.
You were out of it.
So the lecturer at the time, the professor at the time thought it was arrogance. But I am tired. I've done this project all night, and at the end of the semester, looking at the grades, she got a 24 out of 30 in that project. I got a 16.
Oh my God.
I was so mad.
So what did you do? That is very upsetting because you spent the whole night and just because somebody else presented it.
Now, something about me is that I cannot, I have this character where if you're doing something together and you slacked, for example, I will have your back. Even I will not expose you. So whatever happened, I did not expose her. And so I was so mad that that's when I actually now started. That gave me the strength and everything I needed to start programming, because I was wondering why she did the document part, that just the presentation. I did the whole code.
You did the whole code.
And
no, that is very upsetting because it's like but maybe it was good because it now gave you that extra push not to say apana.
Eventually, but at the time I didn't see it.
It did not feel
I didn't see it that way. I was seeing this man who's against me, and
Did you try fight for the marks, or you just let it go?
No, I just let it go. I let it go.
I would never have.
I let it go because either way, I was not failing.
Yes, okay.
For me, as long as I'm not failing, I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah. Wow. So that's how I started my programming journey. Yeah.
And so you finished, you were able to see through this journey.
Oh, yes, this one I had to.
This one you had to.
Yes.
And I'm happy that you managed to do that. And would you say that while you were doing this course, you were getting that feeling that this is what I was meant to do? Or did you have moments where you were like, I'm still unsure about this path that I'm taking?
There were points where I was unsure about it. Because everyone talked about how the money is good. And at the end of the day, yes, the money, trust me, nothing good can come out of you not having money. You need to have money so that money allows you to make more money. Yes. Now looking back, there was a period where I was very confused, and I think that's in between. That's mostly on my second year, because the moment I took on coding full time, I was able to hone in on the skills, and now it actually also gave me a lot of self-confidence in how I approached life as well. So yes, eventually now this is where I found myself in the third year, where I'm now close to, I need to start something. I need to code for something, because most of the time I actually have scripts. I just have scripts written down. Yes. So, but at the end of the day, this journey to me was one of the best because I met so many people.
Do you feel like you regret having done the course at Juja in the first place? No,
I don't. It was part of the journey.
It was part of the journey.
It was part of the journey.
Wow.
And I don't regret it. I mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. The reason why I don't regret it is because it made me look for other options. And those other options are what actually got me my confidence back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does make sense. And I love that you don't have any regrets, but because I think there's somebody here who said that it's not, it's not about regret, but about the lessons that you pick from the experience that you had. So,
And they're not pretty.
and they're not pretty,
Yes.
of course, the journey, but you sometimes in your mind you expect the journey to be very linear, but it rarely ever is, So that's very interesting that you decided to take up and go through
Yes.
the part that you did.
Yes.
So now you've completed USIU. What was next for you after uni? Did you already have a job secured, or what was the journey after uni while in uni?
Right. That question, I think, started in my second semester at USIU. I got an opportunity to be a research assistant. And
At USIU?
At USIU.
Okay.
And we used to do it because they used to get these research opportunities where they would also transfer them to the students. So you're actually getting paid, either doing the research or doing the analysis. And just through a friend, invited me for one of, workshops where they were training on how to collect data. So to go into the field, collect data. Little did I know that there was a follow-up to that, because the Retirement Benefits Authority, RBA, has a partnership with USIU in terms of data collection and all that, in terms of research. So in there, I got to know so many people, got connected. This is where I started now being able to know how to talk to people, know how to network.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where I started my job. They actually are the ones. Then later on, I got...
was it a paid opportunity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Later on, I think I did data collection. The firm, I think, was called Bethel Consultants. It was at this place where, and this is a very... Milan. Where Milan is.
Yes.
Don't mind the
know.
reference.
No, I don't know. I think that's where the Microsoft offices were at some point, if I'm not wrong. Maybe. I'm not sure. But
Yes. I've forgotten the name of the building. So I was
What's the building
data
called?
entry. The Mirage.
The
I think.
Mirage.
Yes, the Mirage.
It's called
yes.
Mirage Towers. Yeah.
I used to do data entry. They used to pay us 1 shilling per entry.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So in a night, I'd do 1,000 entries. So I knew per night, because it was a night shift. So I used to get 1,000 shillings.
Wow.
And at that time, it was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if it's 30 days, that's 30K.
That's 30K.
And you're
Yeah.
good to go.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you short. He said it was a night shift kind of job.
Yeah.
So this was while you were still in USIU?
Yeah. Well, I was still in USIU.
So you would go to school, and then in the evening you're going to work.
Yes.
So where does rest lie in between this equation, and two, where does your relationship as well lie? What was the time split?
So at the time, I was also dating a different person. So
Okay.
I'd say she understood, right? So I'd be back at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Sleep. Then the good thing about USIU is that you get to choose your
pick your
classes.
classes.
So that allowed me to choose afternoon classes. So I'd come back at 7 a.m., 6 or 7 a.m., sleep, then go to classes in the afternoon.
Wow, that is quite something. But I'd also say that before, when we were having discussions prior to the podcast, you mentioned that you had this desire to go to Strathmore. But
Yes.
I really do think it worked out, because in Strathmore, there's no choosing your time. You should be free from 8 to 5. There's availability of you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so
And in the end, everything, I think...
Everything
it works out. Yeah, everything
you
aligns.
just have to trust that, everything is working in your favor.
Yes.
Even when it does not feel that way at that time. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would have. But to be fair, you needed a way to make a source of income.
Yeah.
And so you did what you needed to do. But that is a very intense kind of working. Or did you feel you adapted to the new system?
Yeah, okay. I'd say my background, working with my mom at her shop, they were intense hours at the same time, because it was from 7 to 7.
Oh, wow.
Right. When I was on holidays and all that. So it was 7 to 7. So I think I had adapted to it. And it's hard work, because it's a hardware store. So you get to lift the heavy stuff. So I had adapted to that. So it was a little bit stressful, I would say, because at the time also my grades dropped.
Of course.
Yeah, but I didn't fail, but my grades dropped.
Grades had dropped.
Yeah. But and at the time, I think I slowly started weirdly loving the fact that I don't have to outperform in school because I started learning that, yes, there's that part of life, but there's more to
it
than just
than
school.
just school.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's, well, you're fresh out of high school going to uni, there's that academic pressure that you feel because that's what you've known your whole life.
Yeah.
But I think because you'd already experienced it prior, and then now you had a gist of what it, it's more, there's more to life
Yeah.
than what your grades are.
Yeah.
At least you got that mentality after, and you were able to understand that I don't need to be the best in my class, but I'm still, as long as I'm passing and, still doing what it is that you wanted to do on this side.
Definitely.
And while you were working at this data entry job at the Mirage, I mean, what was your view towards it? Were you enjoying it? Were you just doing it because of the money, or was it an introduction to the tech industry for you? What was the outcome out of it?
Definitely because of the money. I'm not gonna sit here and lie.
Story there.
There's no inspiring story because it happened in my first year and second year. So it had nothing to do with, it was all about the money. I needed I didn't want to be broke.
Of course.
Right.
And especially because maybe your friends now who were in uni have now started getting jobs, integrating into the real life things.
From JQuat,
yeah. Yeah.
That also
Did you
gets
feel
to you.
some pressure? Yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah. And, your classmates are still younger than you. You are this old guy up in campus.
That was it was a huge adjustment, actually. Because now you're back in that class setup, which you had potentially were through with it at the time. And yes, seeing my former classmates move on, because I think in my second year, actually, one of my friends got married at USI when I was at USIU. So my former classmate got married, and I was like, wow. Life is hitting us hard.
People are moving.
Yeah, people are moving on. And that's when I started understanding that no matter what happens in your life moves on the world keeps moving. Yeah. You might be in this state, but the world is moving on. The world is moving. So, yeah, it also gave me a period to adjust and remind myself, regardless, these guys will still move on. But yeah.
Yeah. And for you, now that, walk me through the feeling of your classmates are all younger than you. Were you making any friends, or were you just going there for a certain purpose and leaving? Did you feel weird? Because people normally feel weird going back to school because of the age difference with your classmates, or that never bothered you at all?
So funny story is I used to look younger. Sorry, I used to.
Oh, you see, look younger. Okay.
So they actually, none of them actually thought I was at the time 24.
Oh.
Well, at USA, because of also the guys who take the British system and all that, you find even you have classmates who are 17.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay, then that's okay.
Yeah. But I met this one friend. His name is Nick. He's also in tech, actually. He's UI UX designer for Safaricom.
Maybe I should meet Nick.
Yeah. So he was the one who we've been friends since. Yeah, and at the time, he's the one who actually introduced me to most of my friends now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You just need to meet that one person who makes you feel welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, we've gone through data entry, this job that you have. You're still at USIU. What was next in your journey?
In my fourth year, this is when I think, I wouldn't call it a job, but my first experience of an unpaid role in tech. Now, in my third year, I think I really honed in on my skills in UI UX. And this was mostly, yes, on the design bit, but mostly to understand what the customer mostly wants. What does a customer, in every aspect of any product you're designing, what do they need? What are they looking for? What type of customer do you have? What type of customer do you want for this product? Then later on is when now I really now started getting into development, specifically on web development. And I would say I'm very good at JavaScript. I'm also very good at the front end, and it's purely HTML, CSS, and JavaScript combined as well. There I don't use frameworks as much. I'd rather adjust what I have to a framework rather than use a framework to build on a particular product or the user interface. So that's how I started my whole journey. And
so these were solo projects that you were doing,
yes.
that you were pursuing? Okay.
Yes, these were solo projects.
Were you still having a job at this time while you were doing the solo project?
No. In my once I started developing and coding, and this was mostly now in third year and fourth year, I stopped taking the jobs because I think it was an Instagram story that told me if you want to really become an expert in your field, you need to for you to be termed as an expert, you need to have 10,000 hours.
No, of course, 100%. And
Yes.
software engineering, coding, designing are not those kind of things you do concurrently with something else. Normally the coders that I know or the coders that I do work with, it almost takes over your entire life.
Yes.
For you to become really good at it, because the way from my understanding is you're learning a new language, you're putting this word and this word, learning how to make a sentence out of it just in the language of coding. And I do admire people who do that, because it could never be me. Actually, what's funny is I have this huge interest in tech, and before when I was starting, is I have this interest, but I I can't code, and I don't want to be that person. So how can I still make an impact in the tech industry? And hopefully this is.
And I think this is a very good platform, actually.
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's one of the best platforms to do that.
Because I still have a very personalized touch with the products that are in the market, and get to understand here and there, speaking to people from the different industries, but I just didn't have that skill. So anyway,
I think you're one of the, sorry to interject, but I think you're one of the people who actually helps interpret the tech aspect,
and that's what I want
into storytelling.
Exactly.
which is a very good thing,
because people in the industry are very to themselves, most of the people I interact with. So just having a space where to know that you're not alone in this journey, because it almost maybe feels when you're in a bubble, it might be, but just hearing, there's this guy who went to uni twice. There's this other guy who, I don't know, went to the US and then came back to Kenya, didn't have money, had to... I've had very interesting story, guys. This is just a subtle plug. I know you're already listening, but you should probably go listen to the other stories, because so much content that I'm happy to have been a part of. So, yes. We can go back. Where were we? You were telling us about
how I started
coding
after taking
10,000 hours.
Right. Yes. So you slowly started wanting to earn them, the 10,000 hours. I wanted to earn those 10,000 hours, and part of that was now the 100 days of coding. And that's when I really took into web development, started learning the frameworks, React, at the time also front end, Angular, Vue.
So would you say you were skilled as both as a back end and front end, a full stack engineer, or not yet?
I wouldn't say not yet. I think mostly, I'd say mostly on the back end, not really. I'm about 50-60%.
Okay.
On the front end, that's close to 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I think my understanding of what the customer needs allowed me to join part of my classmates at the time. Because they saw what I was doing, the skills I was getting, because even now when it came to class projects, I was able to help out to actually come up with a logical class project product. They say they want a chatbot. So how do you develop that chatbot? They are talking about give us a database that's able to access school records. How do you do that? In those small projects, that's when I started now really wanting to, there's more to just programming. Yes. I felt there's more to just programming. There's a lot of processes that happen behind. And I joined this team as, at the time, the tech co-founder of a company called Panacare, formed by classmates.
What was the product about?
So,
what solutions were you providing?
At the time, we were providing a solution that could allow subsidized healthcare and also getting that healthcare to people who couldn't access smartphones. So it was mostly now looking into the USSD. right? And how can we get these products to those people who can actually access smartphones? How can you get them a doctor? How can you get them medicine? And this was in Kenya at the time.
How was that? How was building that product, and what was the what was the journey there?
The journey, I think, was tough, because looking back, I realized there's a lot I needed to learn as the person who was going to lead tech in a startup that could help build, accessible products. And I thought it was mostly just about the product. But now, from where I stand, it's not only about the product, it's also about how you are able to communicate the solution. So, and also, there has to be a problem you're solving.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you have to have a problem you're solving, and then a solution. But now, how do you tailor that solution to fit your customers or the people you're solving this problem for?
So maybe you were a bit focused on the product
Yes.
and not how the consumer was going to receive the product.
Yes.
Which I think we were discussing this is one of the biggest problems that I find with startups, is that you put marketing or PR as your last priority.
Yes.
And maybe you're building such a great solution, but the focus is solely on the product and what you're building, which naturally is what you're trained to do. You're trained to code, you're trained to design and, make this thing work. But the moment you're building that and you're already communicating whatever you're building to consumers, that is your make or break. Because even when you're looking for funding, like, are people even using this product? How will you get people to use them? And I was, from a marketing perspective, I really do think when you start your journey and you start it with a bit of marketing, even if it's one social media post a day or something, you're communicating your journey, your story on platforms like this, and we're getting to Huuza just in a few minutes. By the time you're putting the word out there, you need the marketing, or you heavily on marketing. You're not starting from ground up. It's when people are coming to your social media pages, there's still content that they can see about what you're doing. So, musidharau marketing. That's besides the point.
It's true though. It's the honest truth. Even in tech, whoever tells you, that's why you'll find, for example, I'll give a very generic, and I think this is, I'd say Steve Jobs. He was very good in marketing. And that's what allowed him to also get his products out there. Yeah. Whatever Elon Musk is doing on Twitter, all he's doing is marketing right now. The best
founders are the ones who also know how to market both their product and themselves. Because that's even the guy for Nala Money. I don't know if you know Benjamin. I think that guy's PR and marketing is spectacular, because he takes us through the journey. Today we are in Nairobi trying to do this, licensing Tanzania. You're really going through with the story, and that's why you have a personalized touch to the product.
Yes.
And so that's
allows
why you should also be a guest on the MyTech Story Africa podcast. But
oh wow, that's good. That's good.
Share your story.
Yes.
Personalize it to your audience.
Yes. Yeah.
But we digress. Yes. Where were we even?
So, and I made that mistake of I made that mistake again on just concentrating on the product with one other startup. In Kenya as well, which the product was built, but it never went anywhere.
Wow.
Because the problem you were solving, actually, I realized we actually were not solving a problem for anyone. We had come up with an opportunity which we thought solves a problem. So you come up with a product first and then use this product to solve a problem. It doesn't work that way.
You need to first find the problem.
Yes. So yes, and
the solution. Sorry.
The solution, and the challenge with that is that on both I didn't get paid. Yeah.
So both your passion projects are not doing well.
Yeah, it kind of gives you you feel your morale goes down, because you're wondering, what am I doing? But then is when I started realizing, actually, the way I was approaching building a tech company or building a particular tech product was the wrong way. So at the time, also as an opportunity, I was able to see this philanthropy called Jiri. And Jiri, what they do is...
I've actually seen they're here at Norscan.
Yes, they're here at Norscan. They're also in Kenya as well,
Nairobi.
at Nairobi Garage. And I think the most painful process was getting into the talent investor program. So this is where you get paid, you get a stipend and all that for you to develop a product. Yeah, that will, and for you to actually start developing your own company and developing a product that will solve a problem for a particular set of users, and and joining this program is when I saw the tools needed to actually solve a problem. And the first thing they really hone in is you have to identify a problem. Then you also have to come up with a solution. And that solution is not the product. Because a solution can be something different, but the product is now what it solves the problem. It solves the problem. Which means you can solve that problem using a different product. But the same solution but is different products.
Different product, but as long as you're building a product that has a solution.
Yes.
Okay, I really do like that. I think based on the story, the conversation we're having, I do have a question to ask, which is, throughout this journey from when you decided to be a coder and now you're building these products, never once have I heard you mention that you were looking for employment. So why were we so enthusiastic about entrepreneurship and not getting hired to help, in some of these tech firms that are being built every day?
Right. I think most different people have different talents, and let me put it that way.
That statement.
And one of the things I've realized is I'm not good at doing interviews. I am terrible at doing interviews. Also,
but you're doing a really good job here.
No, this is different. Those rooms, I am terrible at doing interviews. I've actually never been employed. I've been employed before, but I've never been employed through
applying for
a particular role in a company and going through the interview process. I have failed. Even an internship at Safaricom, they were like, bruh.
Oh my God. Is it that you don't know how to speak up for yourself when they ask you some questions, or do you get just nervous?
I don't know. Here's the thing. Shockingly, I've also never gone through past the CV. Yeah.
Oh my God. So
all the jobs,
the communication aspect of things seem to be
and the CV bit, I think that's where my biggest challenge is.
Because also you don't have a.
It's not a regular or a straight, So, and most people will see this was a legitimate. I was a CTO when I was in interim CTO for the startup when I was in uni. So I think I understand when someone sees, you just left school and you have been a CTO and a lead designer at a company. You're joking. You must be messing with us. So, and I get that. And I have failed terribly at that aspect of getting employment that way. So all the employment I have is through networking.
Wow.
I'll have this conversation with you. You have a problem. I'll find a way to solve it. And that's how I've gotten the jobs I have.
And you know what? Knowing yourself is very essential, because what you've just mentioned is, I knew this is where I lack, so I need to create those opportunities for myself and build those solutions.
Yes.
And I really do like that. I think that's very inspiring.
Yeah. And I accepted it. So actually, when we were going through this process, just because they have a long process to actually get into the Jiri Talent Investor Program, but it's also essential because I'd say they helped me learn also a lot about myself. Through that process, because they had some tests. There's one they call the psychometric test, and it allows you to see, the way you're answering those questions actually gives you a view of actually who you are. Because I believe psychometric tests are mostly a repetition of the same question asked differently. So you have to they look for that consistency in how you answer those questions. Yeah. And that's how they know whether you're being yourself or you're also lying to pump yourself up. So when I got here, learned about that, met my current co-founders now, led to that journey.
Oh, wow.
Of tech. And it also allowed myself to venture into entrepreneurship because I've also loved, I'm the kind of person who loves to create their own legacy. Yeah.
You want to make your own impact and change to the tech landscape.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. And I love that story that you've just mentioned. Okay, Jiri, you have met your current co-founders. How did Huuza come to life now that we're there?
Interesting journey. So throughout the 3 months, because they have a residential intensive program that happens here in Kigali. And throughout the 3 months, you get to meet different people. So you get to meet different co-founders because they've brought 50 people now from 3 different countries, Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia. And you have to form teams which could eventually lead to your co-founders in a particular venture. So throughout this process, you get to interact with some of the different fellows. And based on where my journey is and where someone else has this ability to give you or come out with an idea, or you yourself coming up with an idea that can become a problem that you're solving, and then you find a solution and build a product on it. So Huuza came about where I think at the end of the program, it was actually at the end of the program is when we both had one of my co-founders now, who was at the time a solo founder at the time. She had come up with this concept that we need to connect people with other people and people with places. So you actually don't lose connection from where you're from. And someone would ask me, how do you even do that?
Yes.
I think social media already does that. But I'd say social media takes that away from you. Because there's that interaction about, I'd say, for example, I'd love the Rwandan culture. And why I do is because they have this ability where they have some of these activities that actually bring people together and they love them. Right? So that's just an example.
Yeah.
And part of that is what I was really inspired by. Also, on the other end, I'm not the kind of person who always has to take the lead in any venture. I could actually be the person who, when you tell me that you have this vision, if I see myself aligning with that vision, and
you have no problem.
I will have no problem. And if you can tell me the vision. End, I will be the person who helps you build that vision. But we also have to work together. And that's also something I came to realize through the
Jiri program.
Yeah, the Jiri program, that I don't have to be the lead. Yes. I think that's where now Huuza came by. And what we do is we develop games, custom made games, actually, that is based on culture and conservation. Yes. And one of them, we have 2 products at the moment. They're physical products. These are cards. We have Battle of Animals, and the other one is called Glimpse It Rwanda. Yes. So just a preview of that is Glimpse It Rwanda is a game that allows you to learn about the Rwandan artifacts, some of the instruments that were used, some of the attires. Yeah. And then Battle of Animals allows you to know more about the wildlife, know more about the animals that you're with in your surrounding. And I think Nairobi is one of the places, the only place in the world where there's a national park in the city. Yes.
And so that, I think that's also aligned with what you mentioned, is connecting people to where they're from and whatnot. And I wanted to confirm, what would you say your target audience is?
So for those products, they're mostly children, because they also come accompanied with another workshop product that we have, is called the Huuza Experience. That is what we use to actually help people learn about the games, and we do this in schools.
Oh, so you go to schools?
Yes, we go to schools here in Kigali.
Oh, so would you say that right now you're only available in Kigali? And then you're looking to expand beyond that eventually?
Yes. We are looking to expand beyond that. But I've mentioned those are just 2 of the products, Huuza XP and cards. So we have 2 other products. That's puzzles. We also have puzzles now for the physical products. So those are the products that are actually helping us to bootstrap and be able to come up to actually build a game.
Oh, so essentially the end goal, the tech side of
Yes.
things, is for you to build a digital game that
Yes.
people can be playing.
Yes, a mobile game, to be specific.
Why the interest in gaming? I think that's something that I know one or two people, but I rarely
Right.
hear people deciding to do this, because I mean, I'm assuming it takes a lot of money to build.
Yes, it does.
And, adaptation rate, I'm not sure how feasible it is. So I think you can just have to give us a bit of confirmations about some of those concerns.
Why gaming? It's one of the easiest way for people to come together. And there's the aspect of competition, but to be specific, there's the experience you get from actually playing a game. The competitiveness, the fun. You're always laughing. I wouldn't say there is a dull moment when you're gaming, right? When you're playing a game, whether on your phone, whether on your computer, whether on the PlayStation, even physically when you're dealing cards and all that, I don't think you would say you have this aspect where you're actually sad. You're actually in your happy moments. You love interacting with people. So that's why we took that approach. But I'd say this, it's not necessarily, we call ourselves, we say we are in games and gaming. And the difference in that is because we allow ourselves to also create products that give that gamification aspect. It doesn't have to be a game, but we can gamify experiences. For example, at the moment with our product which we're calling Nomad, it's a product that will allow you to visit Kigali. For example, for you being, I'd say a tourist, I'd say a business tourist at this point.
Yes, a business tourist.
Yes, it will allow you to actually have that experience when you're coming to Kigali. So we are also identifying spots where in those spots you will be able to choose where to go. So you can also create your own track. This is the experience I want to have in Kigali on this day. So that track signifies that between point A, B, C, D, E, during that particular day, you'll have visited this place, this place, this place. And by that, you will be playing, it's our way of playing a game. So we've gamified that experience. On the flip side is we're also trying to come up with something that can allow the gamers, at this point we're calling them hunters, is we are using our own artifacts because I'd say we're in collaboration with Rwandan Culture and Heritage Academy here, and they are the ones who they said, we want you to come in as a partner to help us, how can I say it?
Gamify experiences.
Yes, but there is a word they used is bring the intangible, like make the intangible tangible.
Tangible.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do love what you're doing. I think it's very unique. I think I'm just very interested to see how the journey is going to progress from here and to see the journey towards you building the actual game and the product itself when it goes live. And I will be sure to keep up with you and the product that you're building.
Thank you.
Very closely.
Thank you.
Because we want to bring you back here for a round 2. And now the story we're having is different. And, we've made some progression, and wishing you nothing but the best as
Thank you.
As you've got your journey now. As we've heard, it has not been smooth sailing, making the decisions that you decided to make. Even moving to Kigali in itself is a different journey in itself. But based on the conversations I've had with you, I can see there's a light bulb moment whenever I mention, you've come to Kigali and, how much you love these experiences that you're having. Plus your wife is from here.
Yeah.
Which is additional, it's the cherry on top. So yes. I think with that said, I want to start closing off this episode, but I do ask my guests 5 closing questions. I think there are 4 or 5 we'll confirm before the end of every episode.
Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do.
So the first question is, what is one word to describe the journey to get to where you are today, and why?
Ooh. I'd say experimental.
Experimental?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't think I have anything I have structured doesn't turn out as what I had planned out to be. So I've taken this aspect where if something happens to me, bring it on. And then I'll be able to, take it in and make sure that I can apply it, for example. So it's not a straightforward thing. So I try my best to just make sure I try things out.
You try things
If they
out.
don't work out, it's fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
At least you try.
I mean, especially when it comes to now entrepreneurship, the worst can happen is someone saying no.
It's true.
No. Yeah.
They'll say no, and then you move on, and you probably sometimes it's just the trial of it, because
Yes.
even when they say yes, or even they've said yes,
Yeah.
and it's just that nature of trying to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. The second question I have is, do you think you have any regrets, or things that you wish you would have done differently?
At this point, and I'd say where technology is, if I had the much exposure I did get at USIU, if I had it earlier.
If you had it earlier. I think people underplay the impact of being in a space of certain caliber of people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to bash JQuat or anything.
No.
What I mean is that everything that, at least for me, my parents have done, intentionally putting me in the schools that they did to meet the kind of people that I did,
Yeah.
I would not have been where I am today if I wasn't able to access such opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I concur with you there 100%. But either way, even if it didn't happen earlier,
It did happen eventually.
It happened
Yes.
eventually.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering what the path would have been if you did do that project and decided to get a job in that kind of industry.
I stopped wondering about that.
You stopped wondering about that?
I stopped wondering about it, yes.
Okay. Well, the third last question is, what advice would you give to someone who's aspiring to get to where you are today, and why?
So I'll give an answer to this in two ways. Take control of your journey, right? And I'm not saying you, if, for example, something bad happens, you just assume that it's something bad happening, and probably it's something telling you, no, take this direction instead of this. What I'm saying is take control of the decisions that you make.
Wow.
Right. And the second way to view it is allow yourself, or allow also life to give you the good stuff.
Allow yourself to give you the good stuff.
Yeah. Allow life to give you the good stuff.
Allow life to give you the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's very powerful what you said. Take control of your journey, your narrative. Because a lot of times you might just end up doing because this is what people have said, for example, this is where the money is.
Yeah.
Or, oh, my parents, I did this in uni, so I guess this is what I'm meant to do. But just making those difficult decisions of uncertainty always end up being the best decisions you've ever made, I think. For example, the uncertainty of you leaving uni within that last minute and you ending up here, it's not by chance. It's because of the risk you decided to take.
Yeah.
And you decided to take control of your narrative.
Yeah.
So,
Also take accountability.
and take accountability.
Because that decision is not easy. You will, of course, get a lot of resistance, but also be accountable that, yes, I made this decision. And there are usually consequences to every action. So make sure that those consequences, you will live by them.
You will live by them.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I love that. I think the last thing before we close off the episode is for you to give us a powerful parting shot. How do you wanna close off the episode?
Pressure. Pressure. I'll repeat something someone said to me. Entrepreneurship is not meant for everyone.
That is true.
Yeah, it's not meant for everyone. And why I'm saying this is because I've also found myself in positions where I want to quit. Even Huuza, I'll give you an example. I've always wanted, there are days I want to quit. But you wake up the next day and you're like, you look back and you're like, you have no other option. You have to keep going.
You have to keep going.
And it's painful during those moments.
Just because you're an entrepreneur does not automatically mean you'll become successful.
Ah,
Sometimes people shun going the regular route of 9 to 5, but it's simple.
Yeah.
It's you're employed,
you're in the office from this time to this time. At the end of the month, you have a salary that's coming in. And some people are okay with that.
Yeah.
Especially in the tech industry, I think people feel a lot of pressure to build their own products. But I think, as you mentioned, if you find something that you can be equally as passionate about, but someone else is the founder, it does not take away from your experience either. So, yeah, entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
It's not for everyone, and it's okay.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. But it also it's the most lovely experience if you actually allow yourself to be in that space, because you get to meet a lot of people. You get to have people who tell you no. You get to have customers who actually don't need your product at all.
You get your heart broken and your heart built all at the same time.
Yes.
But I do think it's one of the most rewarding experiences.
Yes, it is. It is.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation.
Anytime.
I have completely enjoyed this episode, and we can't wait to see how far your journey is going to get. And thank you for honoring my invite. It's been a pleasure to have you on the MyTech Story Africa podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. And also thank you for having me, because this is, I rarely get these experiences. Mostly because I'm behind the screen and all that. So I took on this and I said, you know what? What's the worst can happen?
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Honestly, I hope there's not been the worst that could
No.
happen
It's been a very good experience.
It has been, and you have been also very welcoming, even especially as I came to Kigali. So, thank you so much for that. And if you've reached this far, it's time for you to subscribe, follow, share, follow us on social media at MyTech Story Africa. If you would like to be a guest, you can send an email at mytechstoryafrica.ea@gmail.com, and we shall get back to you as soon as possible. My name is Alice Kanchejo, and we shall see you next week for another amazing episode. Cheers.